Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of There I Read It, where I'm going over the Harry Potter books chapter by chapter for the first time ever in my life. And we are still on Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban chapter, I think this is 12, yes. And this chapter is called The Patronus, which is the first time it has ever been brought up in this series, which is weird how many things happen for the first time in Prisoner of Azkaban that really lay the scene for the rest of the books, I guess. I can only speak for the movies, and even those movies I've only seen back when they were brand new. But even when you look at like the Legos and all the Harry Potter collectibles and t-shirts and just the culture in general, things like the Patronus and the Night Bus are so iconic, and yet, you know, they didn't exist in the first two books at all. So it's interesting to me how this world is deepening, and it's not just, you know, sort of the single layer that we saw originally. But in this chapter, the boys, Ron and Harry, are just absolutely furious with Hermione for telling McGonagall about the firebolt coming from nobody. It was a Christmas gift to Harry, but it didn't say from who, so McGonagall and Hermione were both like, oh, this is no good, we have to get this tested. And Wood is also really mad at Hermione, but he's decided he's gonna go argue with McGonagall about getting that broom back because they need to win Quidditch, dang it. And you know, I like Wood, I admire his dedication to his sport, but isn't that just like the American football attitude of health doesn't matter, it's all about sports, or grades don't matter, it's all about how fast you can run with a little pigskin ball? Or I guess that's what they used to call footballs because they were made out of pigskin. I'm sure it's some kind of rubber latex synthetic thing now. And Harry is about to start training with Lupin on how to defend off Dementors and not just totally fall to pieces whenever they appear, but Lupin is looking really sickly. Even so though, he does manage to catch a Bogart, and the plan is that the Bogart's going to appear, it's going to turn into a Dementor, and apparently have all the powers of a Dementor, which I have some questions about how that works, but I guess that's a different issue for a different day. But the idea is that's going to give Harry a safe way to practice without having to be face to face with a Dementor and be in real trouble. And that is when the Patronus Charm is introduced, and it is anti-Dementor and a guardian. So a Patronus is supposed to be hope, happiness, and the desire to survive, but it doesn't have any ability to despair, so it can't suffer if a Dementor goes after it. And so that makes the Patronus not only a good way to, I guess, repel a Dementor, but sort of something you could use as bait, I imagine. Although I still am really uncomfortable with how little is known about Dementors and where they come from and who made the first arrangement with them. I mean, this kind of thing right here is exactly why the United States has in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, that number 8, you cannot have cruel and unusual punishment for people. Like, if you're gonna kill them immediately. You don't, you know, strap them to a stick and wait for the tide to come in. But these British people are sadistic. Who met a Dementor and went, this is a good idea, let's put them in our prison system? Yeah, that's gonna really help and reform anybody, sure. Ugh. Wizards. But a Patronus appears when you are focusing on a single happy memory, so it should be the happiest thought you can think of. You know, Peter Pan, Fly Away to Neverland kind of stuff. And Harry decides that his happiest memory is the first time he learns how to fly on a broom. And I thought that that was curious because he sort of describes the action of flying and how that made him feel, but I think that that was also the very first time that Harry faced off against Malfoy and totally showed Malfoy up. And that's also what got Harry on the Quidditch team, which caused a bunch of to-do and jealousy with Malfoy as well. So I'm kind of curious, especially with how Harry behaves sometimes. And again, as always, granted, he is a 13-year-old boy, but he's kind of a jerk too. So is it really the flying that Harry loves, or is it the tormenting of Malfoy that he is most happy about? And I don't think that there's an official answer, but I'm just kind of curious if anybody else has thoughts on that. But thinking about his first flight experience gets Harry these little silver wisps that come out of his wand, but that kind of fails against the Bogart, and Harry goes down, he gets revived, he eats a chocolate frog, but Harry demands to try again because he doesn't want to fail at the next Quidditch game if Dementors come wandering in again. And that's also another curious moment because Harry's happiest thought that he could think of was learning to fly, which is, of course, very embedded interested in playing Quidditch, but he's now putting himself in a state of extreme stress because he wants to make Wood and the Quidditch team, and I'm sure in certain regards himself, happy by winning. So, you know, you have sort of this contradiction here where I love something, but now it's become so competitive that it's a job, not something I enjoy. And I think that that takes a little bit away from Harry's joy to fly, having to always think about, well, I gotta fly like this, I gotta do this, I gotta perform. So instead of just being like, yay, flying's great, I could do this all day, now he maybe has some performance anxiety because he has to make the team captain happy. So Harry's trying again against the Bogart Dementor, and the next memory he wants to try is Gryffindor winning the House Cup last year, and it kind of works better, but it still doesn't help him much. Then Harry tries a third time with the moment he became a wizard, and that does work, but just barely. And Lupin's like, oh, you know, this was just too advanced for you. I'm sorry. Even experienced wizards can have problems making a Patronus happen. So, you know, let's give this a rest for today. We can try again later. You know, you don't want to put too much on yourself immediately. It's like anything else that you're going to master. You're not going to master it in one afternoon. And if you are that kind of prodigy, you're going to hate it within a couple of weeks. So now Harry and Lupin are done interacting, and it's noted that Hermione looks exhausted. And Ron and Harry are kind of like raised eyebrow about it because they have people that confirm Hermione is in 3 different classes that are all happening at the exact same time. But for whatever reason, nobody really questions it. Like, they kind of ask Hermione questions and she's always a little dodgy about it, but then they drop it. Nobody's like, listen here, I would like some answers. Nobody. You would think that after all of these months, I believe they said it's February now. So let's see, September, October, November, December, January, February, about 6 months that she has been in 3 places at once consistently, and nobody's really stopping her to find out how. And the name Professor Vector came up. She is in Arithmancy Witch. I'm not really confident about that word or what that is. I'll have to look it up one of these days, or you guys could tell me in the comments. And Wood does have his confrontation with McGonagall about how they have to win that Quidditch match against Ravenclaw, and he needs to get that broom back for Harry. And McGonagall tells him no. And Wood's just kind of stunned, like, I can't believe she wouldn't want me to risk your life to win a Quidditch match. What? But so Wood has to really push Harry and keep telling him, you need to order a new broom. Like, how about you get a Nimbus 2001? And Harry, being kind of a brat, is like, well, I don't want anything if Malfoy thinks it's good. It's like, yeah, well, kid, you need something. If that borrowed shooting star isn't cutting it, you gotta figure something out quick. And then Harry is meeting with Lupin several more times, and he makes a Patronus blob, but never anything distinct. And Harry kind of speculates that he's not really doing well with the Patronus because he secretly wants to hear his parents talk when the Dementor is dragging him into his worst memory. So that's a little bit dark. And the weird thing is every time the Dementor shows up and kind of takes over Harry's mind and puts him back in that day where his parents died, he seems to get a little bit more of the memory each time. So the first time he was working with Lupin to try and repel Dementors, he actually heard his dad's voice for the first time. So now Harry is in this mental crossroads where he doesn't want to be in danger or put in a bad position or lose another match because of the Dementors, but he's also really curious and wants to know, you know, what's on the other side of that rabbit hole. So he's not doing himself any favors. Oh, and Lupin brings out butterbeer that is from his trunk, and that just felt so offensive to me because they drink it warm like animals? What? Oh, and then Harry asks, what is under a Dementor's hood? And apparently the only people that know that are the people who are given the Dementor's kiss, which sucks out your soul, but leaves you to live and rot as this hollowed out shell. So you're living, you're existing, you're breathing, maybe you're eating, but your mind and everything about you is just gone. Again, who signed this contract to let the Dementors come in and work with the wizarding world at all? This isn't even a punishment. This is just psychotic. There is a real sadistic person running the Ministry of Magic, and that's all I'll say about that. But after the last lesson with Lupin in this chapter, McGonagall runs into Harry on the stairs and says, here's your firebolt back. You know, we didn't find anything wrong with it. And it looks perfect. It looks very pristine. It's not all mangled up like Harry was terrified it would be. So Professor Flitwick took very good care of that broom, and we should take note of that he cares even though Harry is not in his house. He's a good teacher. And it's mentioned that Gryffindor has lost the Quidditch Cup for the last 8 years. That seems excessive. It also seems really weird to me that one single player is what's making or breaking the winning cycle of this team. What is the point of even playing Quidditch if you grab the golden snitch, something, I've lost my words now. The anger comments are coming. You grab the little flying golden ball and the game stops. You get like an extra 150 points. Then what is the point of doing everything else? Just like have everybody go after the golden ball. I mean, the rest is all frivolous anyways, right? But that match against Ravenclaw is coming up soon, and it said that all of the Ravenclaw team are using Clean Sweep 7 brooms, and that made me curious. That caught my ear. Especially because Gryffindor does not have a team broom where they're all unified, but Slytherin does, because Malfoy's dad Lucius found a way to buy his son's place on the team, basically. So I wonder if Ravenclaw has a similar issue because they all have the same broom. So was there a point a few years ago where the Clean Sweep 7 was the #1 best ever broom, and then poof, somebody wanted their kid on the team and bought everybody a new broom? I don't think we have ever interacted with any Ravenclaws in the book. I think there might have been the Penelope girl in the last book, but I don't even think she had a speaking line or anything. Like, I don't think we ever really met her. We just kind of heard about her. So I'm interested to learn about more Ravenclaws. I'm also curious, why are these brooms so diverse? I mean, first of all, they're magical, so how do they keep coming up with new features? It should have been within the first few models of brooms that they're at the peak of what they can do, right? But if they're throttling it back like they do with technology and some sporting goods stuff, then all that means is, at least for Quidditch, the richest people are going to win. And it's kind of like an issue I see with archery back when my kids did that. You know, if you were a family that could only afford to get the bow for your kid, and it wasn't even a great bow, it was like an $80 bow, then your kid would be hugely disadvantaged compared to the people who bought their kids, you know, $8,000 bows that had $1,000 sights and scopes and all these little bells and whistles on it. And it wasn't illegal to have them, but it was a case of the richest kid wins. And that's kind of the same thing I'm seeing with these brooms now. But Harry is now ready to forgive Hermione, and he's kind of talking Ron into, yeah, I got the broom back, it's all fine, so, you know, let's let this go. And I will say, I do pick on Harry a lot for the kind of character he tends to show. So I will say that good on him for not holding a grudge forever and trying to make Hermione suffer, because she really was just worried about him at the end of the day. But Hermione's at the table filling out all these scrolls, and one of them is on Muggle studies. She has to write an essay explaining why Muggles need electricity. And I just saw that and thought, really? I know that there's parts of the wizarding universe that is very separated from the real normal world, but come on. You're telling me no wizards use electricity in their house. You're telling me that nobody is interacting enough with the outside world that they have experienced electricity. I can understand maybe something like a rubber duck where it's kind of a peculiar specialty item, so it's not something very common. But these wizards should easily know what guns and electricity and these very common real world items are. They're not supposed to be stupid. And I know wizards don't have logic, but there's a limit. And then the chapter ends with Ron going into his bedroom and finding that Scabbers is gone, but there is blood on the sheets and orange fur on the ground. And Hermione's just kind of like, what? What do you think happened? Ah. But honestly, I hope that orange cat ate that sickly rat. Again, I have a vague memory of how this plays out. I remember for sure about Scabbers and who he is, but I feel like there's something with this cat, but it's not clicking in my head what it is, and I know that there's got to be something weird with Lupin, and it's got to be something werewolfy because J.K. Rowling is not that clever at hiding things. There are some paragraphs where I'm just reading how she thinks she's being clever in disguising a subject, and I'm just going in my head, Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? Because it's so obvious that she's leading us to the left so she can go, ha ha, the trick was over over here on the right the whole time. But yeah, we kind of all already knew that because you didn't even try to hide it that well. Anyways, though, I think that is all of my notes for this week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, all that fun good stuff. And we will see you next time, family members. Bye! Well, family members, we're almost done, but I want to invite you to hang out with me in some other places. I'm on Twitter and Instagram as my own personal self, and I have a Facebook page too, but I mostly just post photos over there. And sometimes people say, "Hey McGann, I want to mail you something. How do I do that?" Easy. Just click the About tab on my channel page, and my most current P.O. Box info will be right there. I also run another channel, The Family. It's really a hodgepodge channel where we might post anything. Oh yeah, and I also sell shirts and stickers and stuff with the Family and the Fangirl logos. If that is your cup of tea, I have a link in every description of every video. Finally, if you want to help out the Fangirl channel and make sure I'm putting out video essays for years to come, the best way you can help is by subscribing and watching more of my videos, whether they're new, old, whatever. Maybe even share one or two on social media, help spread the word. People who watch to the end of videos like you helps to tell the site, hey, this is a good video, we should recommend it to other people. So if you made it this far, leave me a comment of something like, hey, I made it to the end. Love ya. See you next time, family members.